Hi, my name is Brian Wiggins, and I first off would like to thank you for inviting me to participate in the interview process. What I'm going to be doing is, as you stated, as you would like, we're going to be working through a lesson to kind of help students who maybe struggle with the first bit of the lesson that we talk about for our standard for social studies, and try to work through it. And then I do the I do portion, cover the we do, and then how I would get data. So let's jump right into it. So I'm going to try to share my screen here. Hopefully technology works in my favor. So let me see here. Share screen, PowerPoint. So hopefully everybody's seeing PowerPoint right now. I apologize if not. For my first time actually using share screen on Zoom. So hopefully this all goes well. So let's get into it here. I'll put the slideshow up here. And from the beginning. All right. So my standard for this for social studies position in Michigan. So we're going to be hitting off a standard that I feel fairly comfortable with. So my standard for today is we're going to be talking about circular flow model. We're going to look at focusing on the economic side of 7th grade social studies. Circular flow model. So the idea that business are getting money from households, exchange for goods and services, and return that money to the household by practice production, and households have to sell. And kind of the end of it, the idea of flying into public service, so things that we all use: education, healthcare, military protection, all of those good things. So this would be kind of a reteaching element of something that I had done before in class, and trying to help out every student that we have. So I'll jump into it here. All right. So in the world that we have, in our society, in our world, in our country, wherever we are, we have really two main groups that are kind of interacting with each other that really decide on a lot of how the money in our world flows. First thing we have is you and me. We have the households. So every single person in this room, myself included, neighbor on the street, stranger you see, everybody in society is part of a household. Households, you may think like, oh, it's a group of people, but it's also could be just you as an individual. So households are main portion of this. The other main player here is you have businesses. So right here, I have a factory. This image looks like a factory, but it could also be an amusement park. It could be an ice cream shop. It could be a grocery store. It could be anything like that. Any type of business that either makes a product or a business that sells a product or a service to a household. So you have these two groups interacting here. So what we have with our circular flow model is we're looking at how money is exchanged for goods and services, and how goods and services are able to help a business or a household earn money. You can see it's kind of it's a two-way street. So we'll see how both of these work here. So the first thing is, the first part of a circular flow model is the idea that the households, we buy goods and services from the business. So this is you going to the grocery store and buying something from the deli for dinner that night. This is you. This is maybe your parent. This is maybe your mom and dad buying a car from a car dealership. It could be anything like that. That's the first element here, is that households buying goods and services from business. And the second part of it is that the businesses provide goods and services to households. So we buy them, and businesses provide them. The second element here is, a little bit of other things going on here. So businesses provide payment or pay the people of the household, pay the workers that maybe work for them. So if, say, your mom or dad has a job, that business pays them for their services. That pays them that. The other part of this, for not just paying workers, is that these businesses, they also are paying for the skills that their workers may bring to the job. So we're looking maybe at like a car dealership, let's say. And that car dealership, what are they going to want? They're going to want to have people that are really good salesmen. So they're going to pay people based on their skills of being a good salesman. The more cars you sell, the more money these people make. So they're paying them for their skills here. And the other side of this is that households, individuals, they provide resources to the business. So that car salesman, that person that's really good at a really good salesman, can convince anybody of anything to buy whatever they want. That's a really good resource for the business to have. So the household is providing that resource to the business. And for that, the business is going to pay the household for that particular skill or what they contribute to the business. So where does this all go? So this is a nice circular flow of how money is transferred in exchange for goods and services. That's really the backbone of how our economy works and how economies work all over the world. We're all we want payment for our goods and services. So there's another element that gets tied into here that we know of, America, and mostly around the world, and that comes with taxes. So right here, this would represent government. This represent the federal government, state governments, local governments, all of these entities here, businesses and households. We all pay taxes. Everybody pays taxes. When you go to the store and you go to the store and buy some new shoes, you're paying tax. You pay sales tax on those shoes. That sales tax goes to the state government, and that helps to pay for things. Businesses have to pay taxes on the property that they own. They have to pay taxes for the employees that they hire to contribute to contribute to like healthcare and things like that. Households, your mom and dad have to pay property taxes for the house that they have, and that money might go to maybe that money might go to, say, schools or firefighters or police officers in that area. So taxes help to contribute to so that society can have different things. So taxes pay for things that everyone in society uses. So the circular flow, that exchange of money for goods and services, part of that money gets put into an area where we can all have things we all use. So some of the things some of the types of public goods that we have, maybe like things like education. The school that you're sitting in, public schools are paid for by taxpayer dollars. Military defense. So the military is funded by the government. The government gets money to be able to pay for the military from taxpayers, from businesses, and from households, like road construction in your area. So that's going to be something that's going to be a lot of the local government. So if, say, you live in Kent County in Grand Rapids, you pay taxes for living in Kent County. Part of those taxes are going to go towards fixing roads. Public parks, any park that you use, that's been funded by tax. That's, for the most part, it's been funded by taxpayer dollars, or it's maintained by them. And then lastly, you also have healthcare. So everybody that works pays towards healthcare. So this is really this would be the end of the I do portion of the lesson. So as I'd be going with students, I would be drawing this. I would be drawing this diagram on the board, possibly with them, and we would be working through it to kind of refresh that. I would also have students be having something that they could be drawing the diagram with again, and making it from there. So what then I would do is, for the kind of what we do to kind of check the skills of all the students here, is I would ask them we would walk through drawing the circular flow diagram together, and we would try to come up, and I would ask, and then I would give them a scenario of something that we would be doing to kind of bring it down more to possibly their level. So maybe I would say, I would make myself as the person involved as the focus of the circular flow diagram. So I would say, I work for this school, so I'm providing this resource to the school, and we will work through what Mr. Wiggins's diagram would look like for the circular flow model. So we would go through that. As I'd be going, I'd be checking for your understanding, kind of asking students questions, asking really for a lot for their input on how this might work for me and what this might be. So I feel like bringing it down to their level in that way is a good benefit for them. So I would work with that. That'd be kind of the we do, kind of working through it, checking for understanding as I go along with it. From there, I would have students practice it individually. So I find a really good way to kind of get students to kind of figure things is to hopefully have things click with them a little bit better, is to try to individualize a task. And what I mean by that is bringing it into like a connection that they can make into their own world. So what I would probably try to do is maybe have them make the circular flow model that relates to their family. So maybe they make the circular flow model about maybe their mom or their dad or somebody else. So make it so it ties into them. And then when we get into what the money that's going into the government pays for the fund public services, maybe I would have them make it for like, what are things in your area that you can immediately connect with, that you would see as being something that everybody uses. So the school, so education. So, okay, so there's a school down the road. Okay, so I'm gonna write down this school. Military, maybe you have a family member that's in the military. You can think of the cousin Ed's job. He's a lieutenant in the military, and he's paid for by the government. So our money goes to helping pay for him be able to have a job. Roads, maybe the road that they live on, right down the street they live on. Think about it. Maybe the road just got repaved, and say like, oh, or maybe they know a road in town that just got redone, or something's getting remodeled, the road's getting reconstructed, and they write down that road, the name of that road that might be under construction or something like that. Public park, maybe there's a new park being built, maybe there's one next to them, maybe there's one that's even run down in town that they would like to help be fixed. So writing down that. And then healthcare, looking at local hospitals, things like that, trying to get students to connect it down to their level. So if I was trying to do a refresher course in this lesson to really kind of hit things home with students on this particular topic, that's kind of how I would focus my lesson for that day. So let's try to get off of here. Stop sharing my screen. So thank you for inviting me into the interview process. I appreciate your time, and I hope to hear from you soon. All right.